Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, word on the street has it that crypto winter is finally thawing, and most importantly, all those blockchain projects, remember those that were all built on future promises and ICO culture? Well, the future is right here, and we're beginning to see the first fruits from those ICOs, from those future promises. So the future is already here. We're now talking about real partnerships, real use cases, and stories of early adopting businesses leveraging emerging technologies. But this Daily Tech podcast is not about buzzwords or fueling hype of anything, but hearing right from the heart of the tech world and how it's actually transforming multiple industries. So today we have Rutger van Zuidam on the show, and he's the founder and CEO of a company called DutchChain's, which is a leading ecosystem development agency for open public infrastructure. And also Odyssey, an open innovation program, which provides a unique collaborative infrastructure for governmental, corporate and non-profit partners to help them find breakthrough solutions to complex societal challenges. All using blockchain, AI, and so many other emerging technologies. Exciting stuff, right? Now, Rutger also has more than 15 years' experience funding companies across communications, digital media, and tech sectors, and was also the co-founder and commercial director of Paylogic, which is a next-generation ticketing and technology company based in Amsterdam. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to the Netherlands so we can speak with Rutger, who's not only going to talk about everything I've just mentioned, but also Odyssey Hack 2019, which sounds incredibly exciting. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Rutger. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Thank you, Neil. So thanks for having me, first of all. And yeah, I'm Rutger van Zuidam from the Netherlands, and I'm the CEO of DutchChain's, and we organize the one of the largest open innovation programs in Europe called Odyssey. You can see everything about it on odyssey.org. And what we focus on is really the how can all these new types of technologies like blockchain and AI serve our society in the best possible way. And what we found out is that there is a really interesting space to look at, and we call it digital public infrastructure. And this is where we have managed to get corporates, governments, startups, regulators, scale-ups, scientific institutes all on board in an open ecosystem that is focused on discovering the future by actually building it. And in this innovation program, we have a highlight, which is the Odyssey Hackathon, and that one is taking place in a week time, and about 1,500 people from all over the world will gather to work with teams and experts on solutions in the context of 20 complex challenges. So this is, in a nutshell, what we are working on with a team of 9 very, very driven people from the Netherlands.
Fantastic. There's so much to unpack there. So I suppose we better start with DutchChain's, which, like you said, you're the founder and CEO of. And my understanding of DutchChain's is it's a leading ecosystem development agency for open digital public infrastructure. But can you begin by telling me a little bit more about that and the kind of problems that you set out to solve and what put you on this path?
Yeah, what put me on this path really is, and that goes way back to when I was a teenager and internet came into my life, so to say, right? The connection with the rest of the world and all the creativity simply blew everything away in the most positive sense of the word. And this was before Napster, when there was no MP3 yet, so, but still this new thing was there. And then, of course, that evolved, and it was shaping our society more and more in a good way, but also in ways we don't really know how to cope with yet, I think. And then after social media came in the mid and late 2000s, I came across Bitcoin, and then for me, everything else was just kind of boring, because all of a sudden we have this digital public infrastructure for a global payment network, and it is not owned by anyone, and it is absolutely independent and neutral. And this whole idea, I think we can take much further. And this is also what is basically at the core of what we're doing at Odyssey. So that's basically how we came to it, because what I was doing when I came across Bitcoin is both doing experiments with it, like build all kinds of new gimmickal apps. Like I was at a Bitcoin conference, one of the first ones in Europe, organized by Mo Levin. I think it was in 2014 or so. And then I couldn't pay my beers at the bar with Bitcoin, and I was like, what is this? Right? So then we developed this point of sales system for restaurants and bars where you could easily pay your beers with Bitcoin. But we also it was a time when Google Glass came out, and we connected the Google Glass to a blockchain.info wallet and a Coinbase wallet. So then you could do hands-free payments. So you could say, okay, Glass, make a payment, and then it scanned the QR code like Robocop style, and then you could nod twice, and then it pays the actual bill. And we had so much fun doing these kind of things, but also we learned so much about how this Bitcoin as an infrastructure system works. And it gave me the idea that you can actually discover the future by actually building it in a very good way. It takes you out of your comfort zone. It's a lot of fun. And I also have organized a couple of conferences, but it wasn't really satisfying enough for me because, it's just talking, right? So then I merged the two into this innovation program with the hackathon, and turned it into a professional innovation and collaboration infrastructure.
I'm so glad you mentioned your teenage years there and the arrival of the internet. And we did mention before we started recording today, where I mentioned the Bill Gates story and where he was chatting to David Letterman, and everyone just mocked him when he spoke of this vision for the internet. And equally, you showed me a video of Bowie and Paxman, where Jeremy Paxman didn't get it either. And it really seems to be so many parallels around blockchain and crypto at the moment and the arrival of the internet. Is that something that you see too?
Yes, and I think what I really like about the interview with Paxman and Bowie, where I still don't know yet if Paxman get it or just wants to feed Bowie with the opportunity to express himself more, but or pushes him to. But Bowie basically explains the cultural manifestation. And that's what really interests me. The technology side is just a part of it. It's at the core, but technology is created by humans and it is biased because humans are biased. And then technology is like free, or it's out there, and then it can be used for the better and for the worse. But actually, I think things like Bitcoin and what we can create using blockchain or AI or whatever kind of technologies are manifestations of what we find important within the culture we have. And so this is not just a technology thing, but this is also, I think, a human and cultural revolution that is taking place at the same time. And for me, that goes deeper than just the technological advancement we can take. But because in the end, it's the question, what are we optimizing for?
So here we are in 2019. Obviously, we're quite averse and incredibly interested and excited about the future of blockchain and crypto. So if this was a Paxman, David Bowie style interview and somebody's listening to us talking in 10 years from now, I mean, what excites you about that future?
What excites me is that we can create a new path into this 21st century. We are already in this century, but we have, it seems, a pretty hard time letting go of the past century. And it was Adam Curtis, a BBC documentary maker, who coined an interesting phrase for the past century. It's the century of the self. And I think we're moving into a new story, and it's a new path. It's almost because the subtitle of Odyssey is co-creating the next operating system for society. And it's almost as if we are working on a fork of our society where we can basically answer the question of how do we organize ourselves. We can ask it again. How do we include institutes? And that's a totally different question, because normally the institutes, they ask, how do we include the citizens, right? But that question is now turned the other way around. And that's what excites me really, is that we will create this infrastructure, or we are creating this infrastructure where everybody can contribute to any purpose he or she finds important. And these infrastructures will allow for new types of mass collaboration in a way that allows us to solve problems that cannot be solved by one organization. You need an interconnected, collaborative community or communities to solve them. And that's where we found also our, let's say, fundament as Odyssey as an incubator for ecosystems. And this is what really excites me, because this way of working and doing, collaborating in ecosystems, I think we can accomplish so much in this new way of working and unlocking a lot of potential. So this is what really excites me.
And there's a great phrase you use there, interconnected collaborative community. And that is so exciting, and something that, where we can all collaborate seamlessly all around the world. And yet somehow the country where I live is imploding, wanting to be isolating itself inside its own country. It's just insane, isn't it? The diversity that's going on out there. I mean, it's slightly similar in the US as well. We've got half the world that just want to collaborate and be interconnected, and there's still some that are wanting to isolate themselves.
Yeah, that's the political part of that spectrum.
Yeah.
And I think that's very interesting and relevant, because this whole movement coming from the internet, crypto, blockchain, this world, I think really is in the phase of understanding that we basically have to take everybody along, right? Yeah. So it's not about separation, and I think this is still to be understood better in some crypto communities, that it is not about separation, although it is about sovereignty. So these are different concepts, and I think more and more we are learning this. Also with the Lightning Network and the torch that is being passed around, that is a really great meme, and it shows that it is about a collective spirit. So yeah, I think with the political spectrum being so dynamic at the moment, I think it's also a sign of the times that the political institute is in great need of reform, and we will see how they can connect with what the people in tech are doing. But it all depends on whether they are doing relevant stuff and how it is connected to all the citizens.
Absolutely. And that brings us right up to date with Odyssey now, which, as you said a few moments ago, is an open innovation program, which is providing a unique collaborative infrastructure for governmental, corporate and non-profit partners to essentially find breakthrough solutions to complex challenges using blockchain, AI and other emerging technologies. But can you just set the scene a little and tell me all about that?
Yeah, the season starts in September, where our clients / partners and their stakeholders articulate certain challenges. For this season, we have 20 challenges. And these challenges are interconnected and decentralized at the same time by nature. They are complex. Not complicated, but complex. And this means that there's a multitude of stakeholders that cannot necessarily trust each other because they don't know each other. There's a lot of interconnected vectors, and there's a really important thing. No one can have all the crucial information because that would mean an ultimate monopoly. It prevents adoption. It causes a lot of friction. That's a situation that doesn't really sustain. And that's interesting because these type of complex challenges set the scene for potential solutions in the realm of digital public infrastructure that is absolutely neutral and independent, aka ownerless, and bring that spirit of what Bitcoin also has within it, but also the internet, right? No one owns the internet. Everybody can build on top of it. Everybody can use it. It's an open system. Even in countries where the government thinks it should not be open, people can work around that. So also on the protocol level, it's the same with email. Nobody owns it. Everybody can build on top of it. And basically each new protocol unlocks a completely new market for both profit and non-profit organizations. Just to work towards the hackathon, what we also do is organize a lot of deep dives, because all kinds of topics, when we discuss not only the complex challenges, but also potential solutions. So we do deep dives on the regulatory topics with the Dutch Central Bank, legal with our partner Loyens & Loeff, but also tech, of course, the technical part. But on the same level of importance is the ethical part. So we did an ethical deep dive at the Dutch Senate, and it allows this ecosystem of all this multitude of different players to share basically a knowledge graph and discuss it at the same time, and then move on towards the epic momentum of the hackathon, where 1,500 people from all over the world join to turn ideas into working prototypes together. So all these stakeholders from within these challenges, whether these are firefighters or civil servants, or people that work in the energy sector, or in pensions, or even, we have Willy Smits from Borneo. He's basically growing rainforest there and saving thousands of orangutans. He's there as well in the Scaling Wildlife Challenge. So there's a wide variety of experts there to work with the teams. And that's, of course, where the magic happens. And with these types of solutions, these solutions are not focused on one organization. These are solutions for these interconnected collaborative communities to work on and to collaborate on. So these are solutions that can only be adopted by ecosystems, and therefore these type of ecosystems are, let's say, incubated within our program and grown and further developed by all these stakeholders. up to a point where hopefully they don't need us anymore. But yeah, that's where we put in a lot of effort also after the hackathon to incubate these ecosystems surrounding the best solutions that come out of the hackathon.
So when is Odyssey Hack and where is it? Is it in the Netherlands over there? Or
yes.
And if anyone cannot attend, what are they going to be missing out on?
So
we've got to introduce a little FOMO in there.
Yeah. Well, that will be the FOMO for next edition then. So this is the third edition of this hackathon. It is taking place in Groningen in the Netherlands. It's like 1.5 hour up north from Amsterdam. And it's in an old factory building. There are 100 teams this year. Last year we had 64 teams from about 22 countries. This year, 100 teams. Each team has 5 to 6 people in it, and they have to apply, right? So we had over 160 teams applying, and we have a curation process where we fit the teams to the best possible spot in a specific challenge. Everybody gets in on the Thursday, the 11th. That's welcoming day. We have a lot of masterclasses then, because all these experts are here anyway, right? So have a really good couple of sessions. Then have a welcoming party, of course, because if you have a party at the end of the hackathon, everybody's tired, so better do it before. And then we have an opening show at 12 the next day on the Friday, and then it's crunch time, right? So they have the teams have 48 hours to work with all the experts and basically get rid of their assumptions and allow the most unexpected things to happen. The teams that win finish the hackathon with something else than they had thought at the beginning. So it's really about how is the team enabled to transform themselves and their ideas during the hackathon because they find a collaborative mode with the experts. And that's a lot of fun to see happening, because then it doesn't matter whether you are a startup, a group of highly intelligent students, or a corporate team, or a scale-up with millions of funding. It's about your ability to transform and to grasp the complexity of the context, to fit it into the right formulation of the problem that you're trying to solve within that context, and then to solve that problem, what is your solution, right? So it's multiple dimensions you have to connect with, and then on Sunday at the end of the hackathon, it's at 12 o'clock. It's stop coding, and then within about 1.5 hours time, we will assess with the jury panels 100 prototypes, and the jury panels, they pick their winners with the advice of our super accelerators. These are basically highly networked individuals from the scene, and then we will end up with 20 winning teams. There is a total amount of 200,000 euros of cash rewards, so no voucher stuff there, but money on the bank. That is fiat money, and it's basically also to show that our partners have some skin in the game to make this work and to see it through also after the hackathon. It's basically a sign of commitment to not just see the result at the hackathon, but also to take this result further after the hackathon. And that's where we start with at Odyssey Ignite, the Monday right after the hackathon, when the winning solutions are just 1 day old. The winning teams will, with our partners, have a first ecosystem meeting with the stakeholders of these partners, right? So we kick off the ecosystem growth from the get-go, and then work with all these stakeholders and the winning teams after Odyssey Ignite to further develop the solution and to grow that ecosystem and see if we can get towards a, let's say, minimal implementable or minimal production version of the solution where, let's say, 100 or 200 or 300 people can actually use it.
And it's that further growing and further developing these ecosystems that really excites me, because I also read that the Dutch government over there wants to be a partner for everyone who can co-create the digital public infrastructure that is actually needed to take society forward in the 21st century of this digital age. And I find that particularly inspiring and forward-thinking, and quite a stark contrast to the UK government over here that have spent years just solely concentrating on Brexit and still cannot agree on anything. So can you tell me a little bit more about the kind of support that you've had from the Dutch government and taking things forward?
Yes, I think there's a huge difference between the topics that are discussed in politics versus what governmental organizations and agencies are working on. In my opinion, that does not really correlate or relate. Politics almost don't talk about the influence of technology in our lives and in society, which is an absolute shame, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
But apart from that, what I find with the Dutch government is that they want to find out not only how to leverage these new types of technology, but also to find their place in this world that is becoming increasingly complex, maybe also complicated, but we are talking about complexity here.
Yeah.
And they, with the insights that are shared at the moment, is that this new type of infrastructure should not be owned by the government, but the government should be part of it to make it work. But how and in what way they should be part of it, that's what we are finding out also here. We are not the only way to find out, of course, but we contribute to finding that out, or to discovering that new role and new type of relationship between citizens, companies, scientific institutes, NGOs, and the government. And these roles and relations are definitely going to change. And the question then is how, and that's where we try to, well, we don't only try, we are finding answers there. And these answers provide not only new narratives, but they also provide a way to move forward, because the solution is already out there. It kind of works, right? The prototypes, they are working solutions, whether, of course, they're in their infancy, but there is something there. It was created. The genie is out of the lamp, so to say. So that's really what I think what Bitcoin also has accomplished, is that it is a fait accompli for everyone in the financial sector. They just have to deal with it, whether they believe in it or not. But they have to deal with it because it's out of their control. And this is the most powerful thing. And this should be done in the energy sector, in the public sector, etc. But then there's the question of how do we make it work within our society, and how will we reshape our society, our governmental, our governance models, our institutes, in a way that it works. Well, and we are at the beginning of this process, I think.
And what message do you want everyone to walk away with that attends this year's Odyssey Hack?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Wow, there's so much different things that are going through my mind at the moment. I think we should do this more often.
Yeah.
That's what means a success for me. If people after the hackathon think, I want to do this again, that's a good sign. And I think with the amount of alumni, as we call them, that are again in this hackathon, and also our clients and partners that want to do more and more and more with us. The international expansion of the ecosystem gives away this signal of that people, at least until now, have thought this. But I think that would mean a success for me, and also, of course, the feeling that what they have created can actually make an impact, whether they were elected by the jury panels as a winner or not. There is a multitude of examples we can bring of non-winners that have been able to leverage the hackathon and the ecosystem for their success, and have clients or investors or new partners, etc. So that's also part of that message to take away, and I hope that people find the way of collaborating during the hackathon as something at least potentially transformative on a human level. I really think that we have so many diverse people together that and people can learn so much from each other that hopefully they will be amazed by that they have learned a lot. I think people can learn much more at a hackathon than during a conference, by working together and see how things could actually work by building it.
Now, before I let you go, I think it's worth highlighting that you've had 15 years of experience founding companies across the communications, digital media and tech sectors. And I'm quite conscious we're going to have a lot of listeners and who are startup founders and entrepreneurs who want to follow in your footsteps. So for those people listening, what would you say are the biggest lessons you've learned about startup life, and what advice would you offer to somebody, let's say at the beginning of their startup journey?
What I have learned is that this business I have now is my first business I do without investors. And it's the business by far I have the most fun with. And it really makes me happy working on it and working with the people in the team. I'm the sole owner of the company. For me, that works really well. I can imagine for others it works to have partners. I've tried that as well, but really doing it without the investors for me is worth a lot, because I can do everything I basically want as long as I can take the clients along with me, and this is for me is not really a problem. So. This business was profitable from the first year, although I really believe in a social enterprise approach. So I have this more like this minimal viable profit motive. But for me, the freedom to express my creativity in everything we do is very important. So the freedom to express myself as a human being, and to allow to build the type of relationships I want to have in the way I want to have it, and also allow the company itself to become a platform for personal growth or for personal development, I would rather say, not just for myself, but also for the complete team. That's really valuable to me. So you don't hear a lot about money there, but it is really about how can I express myself in this world as a person? What can I mean for? What is my purpose for others? How can I be of value to others? And how am I happy with it? And not only myself, but also the people in my private life, so to say. So incorporating everything in there for me is the biggest win and most important. And it took me a couple of businesses to learn that I was not chasing this startup dream anymore with the investors and series ABC, whatever. I have the experience. I've learned from that, and it's not. Of course, it can help, but it's not something that makes me happy. So pursuing what I want to accomplish and how and especially also in the way I want to accomplish that is very valuable to me.
Excellent advice. And is there anything else that you can share with us today about the road ahead for Odyssey, DutchChain, or indeed just anything that excites you about the future at the moment?
What excites me a lot is that more and more people are aware that creating this new story or this new path and whatever needs to be done to do it is an exciting thing to work on. And what I notice, whether people are going into more like, let's say, the blockchain or AI space, but once you have entered that space or in cryptocurrency and you work on things that matter to people out there in society, I don't see anyone return to their old jobs anymore. And this way of working and this movement is growing globally, and I do think we need as many people as possible to work together and to collaborate on all kinds of challenges that we are facing in the 21st century. And it excites me that more and more people see that, take action. Don't point to some other organization that they should change, but take matters into their own hands and don't just have an opinion about something, but see what you can do about it. And this is a very exciting age. I think maybe we can call it the age of mass enablement that is coming. We can enable each other to do something about the things we think are important. It's not the money that can hold you back, because we have learned that you can crowdfund everything that others find important too. So really, what we can accomplish on the global scale with mass collaboration, that is what really excites me.
And for anyone listening where our words there have really resonated with them, because we've covered a lot of ground and a lot of exciting topics, what's the best way they can find you guys online, find out more details about Odyssey Hack, and equally just contact either yourself or a member of your team if they've got any additional questions after listening to our conversation today? So,
odyssey.org is our URL. And we have a community platform. Anyone can engage with the community. It's very open. All our events are free. We don't sell any tickets, but people are curated based on their motivation. But we are an open innovation program, so anyone can join. If you want to contribute to any of the challenges, feel welcome. We're not planning to have the last hackathon next week, so most likely there will be plenty of opportunities to connect, and I think also with the results from this hackathon, people can connect, because it's not that the teams can just bring that solution forward. No, it needs a complete ecosystem to bring it forward. So people are most welcome to join, to contribute, to find their opportunities to collaborate and to do business, because this is not a philanthropical area or something. It's a business community that wants to find out how they can do good, but still in an economically viable way. So that's where people are most welcome, and it's easy to connect with us through the community.
Fantastic. I love what you're building here, and I love the fact that you've come on to share your experience with us. And the words like open, interactive, open, interconnected, collaborative community is just so incredibly exciting. So a big thank you for coming on and sharing that story with me today.
Thanks for having me, Neil. It was a pleasure.
Wow, what a great guy. I mean, will you be attending the world's biggest blockchain and artificial intelligence hackathon from April the 11th to April the 15th over there in the Netherlands? Or do you have any additional insights that you'd like to share about today's conversation? As always, you can email me techblogwriter@outlook.com or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. And of course, if you're a fan of crypto or blockchain, stick around as I've got some pretty big guests in the industry waiting this week. But for now, it's time for me to get out of here. So thanks for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.